everyone, PPI inflation data just came out and it was not good. The markets are not liking this news. So we're going to go over what happened, what you guys can be doing for the next few days because PPI is over, CPI is tomorrow. There is going to be some big things. So let's get started here. Now, we're going to watch CNBC so we can kind of see what happened here. Afterwards, we're going to go over all the data that came out today and some data you guys are going to have to focus on tomorrow.
Here we go. We're hitting the wires. April read on producer price index, the wholesale inflation gauge, up 0.5% on headline, up 0.5%. That's up 0.5%, and that is the hottest read, well, just since February when it was up 0.6. And if we look at ex-food and energy, same number, more than double expectations, as Becky pointed out, up 0.5%. That is the hottest read there. It equals January. You have to go to July of last year to get a hotter read. Another hot read is ex-food, energy, and trade. It's up 0.4, exactly double expectations. To find a hotter read, you have to go to January of this year when it was up 0.6. Now, let's do the year-over-year numbers. Year-over-year final demand up 2.2 as expected, but still 0.1 hotter than the rear view mirror. To find a hotter read than 2.2, you have to go to 2.3, and that was in April of last year. Strip out food and energy, or year-over-year number is 2.4. That is 0.1 hotter than we expected, equal to the rear view mirror at 2.4, and that means we have back-to-back 2.4s, and last month's 2.4 was the hottest number since August of last year. And finally, year-over-year ex-food, energy, and trade up 3.1%. We're expecting up 2.8. To find a hotter number than 3.1, you're going back to April of last year. These numbers are obviously hot. We have moved from 483 in twos to 487-ish, or right below that level on.
All right, so you guys can understand things are not good. So let's talk about exactly what's happening here. So what you guys are looking at right now is the United States producer price change. This is the PPI right here. And you guys can see things have been actually looking up pretty well for the last few months. We had been coming down for a while here. But again, coming in the middle of last year, we started to stop raising rates and things of that nature. Everybody started to wonder what was going to happen, And really, I think the nail in the coffin was sealed when Jerome Powell came out last fall, saying, hey, we think we've done enough to combat inflation, so we're not going to raise rates anymore. And the market took off. Everybody was really excited. Everybody kind of feel this was coming back in October. You saw everything spike. Now, because of that, you can see all of a sudden we stopped going back down. We're going more sideways here. And if we go look at the last year, you guys can see how we're starting to creep our way back up. We had a few good months back over here. Then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Harder than expected. Now, the thing about this and why everybody is, so concerned here is because different parts of this are a little bit hotter than expected. This is your base PPI. This is a little bit hotter than expected depending on where you guys were getting your data from. However, if you go over here to what he was talking about, producer price, final demand, less food, energy, and trade services year over year, you're going to see a huge spike from what we've been seeing over the past year or so. So this is not good news here. That surprise is why we saw the market kind of getting into this little bit of a tissy fit here. However, despite all of this, this is not the biggest inflation data point that we're going to have to look for this week. Remember, PPI is more for wholesale. Think of it more for what Costco pays for their goods, Walmart pays, Fred Meyer's, your local stores. What are they paying for? It's up, which means more pressure on them, which maybe means they have to squeeze margins or raise the price on you. And that's where the CPI data comes into play. And that's why that data is going to be so important coming in tomorrow. That's going to have a much larger move, but we'll talk about that here in a second. One of the things I want you guys to look out for tomorrow is rent inflation. Rent inflation has been horrible, and I mean absolutely horrible. When we're talking about these other types of inflation, we're talking about 3%, 2.1%. That's manageable. It's not anywhere near where we want it to be, but it's manageable. What really hurts an American's pocket right now is things like rent inflation. For whatever reason, we just haven't been able to build as many homes. There's been a lot more rules and regulations to kind of stop that from happening. I think they're trying to loosen it now so people can actually, get more homes built in an easier fashion. And, we'll see how that works out. However, because of all this tit for tat from the government, you have seen inflation peak at 8.18% for rent inflation. And you can see we've been going down month after month after month. However, we are still at 5.65% inflation here, which is absolutely dog shit right now. So just understand, people are still going to not have as much money as you might think, just because rent is going to continue to go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And it looks like there's no real stop to that. Sure, we're coming down a little bit, a little bit here, a little bit there, but this is small moves. Not many people are making enough money to continue to upkeep with these higher rents that are coming along, let alone move out of an apartment where they've kind of been grandfathered in from a price and move into a new place. That's going to be much more difficult now. So what did all this do for the price action today? What we're looking at here as far as Bitcoin is concerned is you can see Bitcoin is at a massive level of support and it's trying to break down. Surprisingly, because PPI came out before CPI, I don't think everybody was ready to make a big move off of that news. Excuse me. And let me tell you why. If you go over here to the dollar index, you're going to see how we actually came screaming down here over the last few hours. So if I were to go over to the 15-minute chart, you guys see what happened at 5:30 in the morning. We were coming down gradually. 5:30 came, really bad news. But something overtook that news and it kept us grinding back down lower. And I think that was probably people just realizing, hey, we're going to have to worry about CPI data tomorrow. That's going to be the big hurdle here. And CPI estimates are supposed to be very good this month for whatever that means. So I think everybody's just waiting for that. But this move down here, this sharp move down, is one of the reasons that Bitcoin's been able to hold on as long as it has. Again, if we go over here to Bitcoin on the 15-minute chart, you will see a sudden spike down here when this PPI data was released. It came roaring back, just like what we saw with the dollar index. And so far, we've stabilized just a little bit. However, on the downside of a lot of this stuff here, guys, Bitcoin may continue kind of grinding away here. AI tokens, a lot of tokens out there that aren't meme tokens, they're all having really, really bad days at this point, having complete breakdowns here. So I want you guys just to understand, even if Bitcoin's doing okay and it's not doing great, it's down $1,500, you are seeing altcoins come down considerably much, much more. Even if you go over here to the Dow, that's fine today. It's up. NASDAQ is up. SPY is up. Everybody's like, oh, what's going on? Nobody seems to be minding this as much. And oil prices are coming down quite a bit here today, which is kind of some interesting news, which means we could have a breakdown, and that could be great for inflationary pressures down the road. So I wanted to do a quick little search with you guys very fast, just to kind of see what's going on, because the economic data from inflation is not good, but there may have been some tidbits in there that we didn't really see and what's going on there. So let me do a quick check here just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And then economic data news, let's go there. All right. Major economic data releases. I'm not seeing a lot in here. I'm looking at it and I'm wondering if everybody's just waiting for CPI data to come out. It looks like everybody is waiting. Yeah, everybody is waiting for... here's one thing. Wholesale sales down 1.1% in March. StatsCon. That means the let's see. This is for Canada. That's not for us. I was thinking it might be for America. It's not. However, guys, things still seem to be looking okay at this point in time. Bitcoin's on the verge of a massive breakdown, but I think CPI will be the thing that seals that faith there. Unless we get good CPI data, we are not going to be able to have a good, confident bounce. So just keep an eye on that, okay? Thanks, everybody.